want to ask me about it then, that's fine. But I'm not going to microanalyze every bit of a campaign, because you know what? The voters don't. And what matters here is winning and losing, first and foremost. And what matters here is where the country's direction will be after whoever wins this election. That's what I'm focused on. That's my job for Donald, is to focus on setting up a government once he's elected in November. And that's what my focus is for him. It's not in micromanaging. It's not in micromanaging the campaign. If we've got questions other than the the judge kerfuffle, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'm moving on. My approval rating goes up and down in the state. I've said this before. I said when I was at 75%, I didn't believe it, and when I'm at 26%, I don't believe it. And the fact is that I don't govern, have never governed based upon my approval rating. You guys are much more concerned with my approval rating than I am. I'm never a candidate for office again in this state, and so quite frankly, my approval rating doesn't mean a lick to me. It didn't mean all that much to me when it was high, and it doesn't mean that much to me when I'm low. The fact is that I've got a job to do, and I have a tough job to do. And when you have to make difficult decisions, that's what happens. I've always said that you gather political capital in order to spend it. I've spent it on things that I thought were important. Now it's my opportunity over the next 18 months to build it back up. So not at all concerned about that. And nor, quite frankly, if I was, is there anything you can do about it today or tomorrow? Approval ratings go up and down over a long course of time. They've done it here. And quite frankly, the fact that I'm a two-term governor and have had the approval ratings I've had in a state that's one of the bluest states in the country is a fairly good testimony to the success of our policies and to the popularity of the way we've gone about them. So it goes up and down. I'm not worried.
Do you plan on who'd you vote for today?
It doesn't matter by 1 point or something, I mean, which is statistically insignificant. I mean, you guys can have as much fun with it as you want. You may not believe this. I don't care. If I were, excuse me, no, it's not coming from my constituents. The fact of the matter is that a pollster polls 400 people out of 8.9 million people. The same way that I said to all of you, I've been consistent about this. When my poll ratings were up at 75%, I said to you, I don't believe them, and it doesn't matter to me. If you say that it's 75, you're consistent when you say it at 26. It doesn't really matter to me, and it's not, by the way, consistent with the interaction that I have with my constituents around the state. So I have to make tough decisions in this job. I'm under unrelenting attack, mostly from Democrats, some from members of the media as well. To the extent that people read or care about this stuff, that affects it too.
Doesn't matter. What's your feeling on violence at Trump rallies?
Trump gets in New Jersey together.
No. I thought it was going to, but he's clinched the nomination now, so it really doesn't matter at all what happens today. As long as our delegate slate gets elected, which I'm confident that it will, none of the rest of it really matters.
So can the list of unindicted co-conspirators be released, and if not, why not?
That's up to the court.
Do you plan on being...
You wish that today this would have been you that would have been at the top.
Every part of me wishes that. Not some part of me, Anthony. Every part of me wishes it was me, but it's not. And that's the way elections go. So I don't have any doubt, quite frankly, I don't have any doubt about the fact that I ran as good a race as I could run. And in a field of 17 people, Donald won. And so, every part of me wishes it were me today, but it's not. So I'm voting for the person that I think is the best person to beat Hillary Clinton in November, and I just voted for Donald Trump.
Are you afraid cabinet or vice president?
You don't get to make those determinations.
Well, have you had any conversations?
No, I've said that before. I've had no conversation.
Governor, do you plan on being in Westchester tonight?
No.
Donald?
Governor, is there anything Mr. Trump can learn from you about your ability to speak your opinion without offending people?
It's fascinating that I am now the person who can speak my mind without offending anybody. 12 months ago, all of you were asking me, was I going to change my manner in order to not offend people? Now all of a sudden I'm the person who doesn't offend anyone. Listen, Donald Trump is my friend, and to the extent that I've made this statement many times before, to the extent that I can help him be a better candidate and ultimately be a better president, I'm happy to help him in that regard because he's my friend and now he's the nominee in my party. So I'm happy to help him. But whether he can learn anything or not, that only time will tell about that. And I'm certainly not conceited enough to think that the guy who beat me in the race I'm going to teach anything to. We're friends. We talk all the time. and anything that I can do to help, I'm happy to do so.
What about violence at Trump rallies?
It's up to Hillary Clinton. My relationship with Senator Booker is well chronicled. I like Senator Booker. I have great respect for Senator Booker, and we've been friends over the last, now 14 years. So I have great respect for Corey. He's a good guy, and I like him. But as to whether or not he should be Hillary Clinton's vice president, one, that's a decision only she can make, and two, I wouldn't want to express an opinion because if I did, I might actually hurt his chances. So I don't want to do that to Corey.
Can you stand there so I can...
Any other questions?
Governor, at any point do you think Mr. Trump's rhetoric has gone too far? Was there any point when you said, wow, that went over the limit?
I am sure, if I sat back and thought about it, that there would be times that I would think that there were things that he said that he shouldn't have said. Quite frankly, he's admitted that over time there are things that he said that he shouldn't have said. But that happens to anybody in politics who speaks their mind. If you have this many microphones and cameras in front of you on a regular basis, and you're not, a pre-programmed robotic politician, you're going to make some statements at times that you wish you could take back. I've done it, he's done it, and anybody who's honest in this business has done it. So that doesn't make him any different than anybody else who has run for office before. And frankly, from my perspective, it's refreshing to have somebody who is willing to speak their mind and is not reading from a script. There's lots of things you could say about Donald. He's not reading from a script.
But Governor, he seems to double down.
And consider unendorsing Donald Trump. Is there any situation?
Lindsey Graham has changed his mind about who he's endorsing and not endorsing so many different times that it's hard for me to keep track. I think Senator Graham has lost any credibility that he may have had at any time to give an opinion on this. And the fact is that Senator Graham was for himself. Then it's hard for me to keep track. Then he was for Jeb. Then I think he was for Marco. Then I think he was for Ted. After he told everybody that Ted could be murdered on the floor of the Senate by a fellow senator, and you wouldn't get one vote for conviction. Then I heard he said some nice stuff about Donald. Now he's saying something else. Lindsey's lost any credibility he's had. He should worry about going back to South Carolina and trying to rebuild his base in South Carolina, or he won't be in the United States Senate for much longer.
So, Governor, you seem to be saying that you don't necessarily disagree with the idea that a judge's ethnic heritage alone should disqualify.
Matt, I'm not answering your questions, Matt.
What about violence at Trump rallies?
Listen, I think it's awful that Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton have sent their supporters there in order to commit violent acts. And I think it's a terrible thing. And I think that both Senator Sanders and Secretary Clinton this week denounced the people, finally, who are supporters of theirs, who are going to Donald's rallies only to create violence. We saw that going as far back as Chicago a couple of months ago. These are people who say that they're open and tolerant and understanding of others' views, yet they stand outside and commit violent protests. Everybody's allowed to protest. You can peacefully protest wherever you want. You oppose a candidate, go and protest peacefully. But they don't do that. They commit violent acts. And that's wrong. That's wrong for anybody to do.
Then how about
and so quite frankly,